to be launching this. We have got some fantastic presenters who will be talking about Multiply. We've launched this webinar series for you out there, so you don't have to come to our offices in one of our multi-sites. You can do this if you want to, sitting there enjoying your lunch with your screens off and listening to some information that we're going to impart on Multiply. Multiply is a really important initiative that the government have brought out. You may or may not know 17 million people in the country don't have good enough math skills. And the RNN Group is offering Multiply for all adults out there who wish to partake, who need to better their math skills, which in the end, we know the better math skills you have, the more chance you have of being successful in your career. So I'm just going to go through the speakers who'll be speaking today. First of all, we have James Godsall. He is the Director of Employer Partnerships and Apprenticeships. Then we'll have Emma Thorpe, who is the Curriculum Manager for English, Maths and Innovation. And then finally, we'll have Dan Stamborough, who is the Director of Adults, Contracts, English and Maths. And because I'm so excited about this, I totally forgot to introduce myself. I am Lucy Barnwell. I am the Director of Marketing and Learner Recruitment here at the group. So what I'm going to do now is hand you over to James Godsall, who will start the first presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, Lucy. So yeah, as Lucy said, welcome to our webinar on Multiply. We've been fortunate enough to have a number of different strands with regards to Multiply, but as Lucy said, the core aim is to upskill people in their numeracy skills. And hopefully help them to progress on to the next step of their maths journey. I think a lot of people were left behind when it came to maths at school and have maybe not felt the confidence to be able to go on to study a full level 2 qualification or beyond. So Multiply is really designed to be that kind of conduit to help people on to further maths training. So the program is designed to be as flexible as possible. It is about making sure that you are supported to develop your numeracy skills. And that it's done so in a way that suits you as an individual. So we have a number of different pathways for people to join. We work directly with businesses. And in those instances, we would do a skills analysis on the staff that were involved to see what their current level of maths was, their maths confidence and their maths competence. And then we could come up with a package that would be either online or face-to-face for those people. But equally, we have online learning, which I'm just going to show you shortly, that will help to, even before going into a classroom setting, to help develop your maths skills. So the eligibility criteria for Multiply is that you've got to be a South Yorkshire resident, you've got to be over the age of 19, and you can't have your maths or I keep saying maths in English, you can't have your maths level 2 or grade C or equivalent. The program itself is developed around a suite of different pathways. We have workshops, both online and at the college. We have in-person classes that people can go into. And again, Emma will cover that in more detail. We have some funded options for those people that aren't working, which I think Daniel can perhaps touch on with regards to the community learning option. We have in-work development pathways that we can do online through a series of modules. And then we also have a number of digital resources that learners can access in their own time to help them upskill in the area of maths that they need to. So in terms of how we plan to operate that, we use a program called Century Tech. And what that will do is an initial assessment to see where a learner is in terms of their math training. Now, we have done a number of Multiply projects so far. And learners are coming and reporting back that actually the area they felt confident in was an area that Century Tech identified they needed to develop, and areas they maybe didn't feel as confident in, Century Tech has identified that as a strength. So what it will do is give you as an individual and you as an organisation, if you are looking at this for your staff, a snapshot of the skill set of the individual after their initial assessment. And what that does for us is it then gives us an idea of the type of training that we would like to suggest for those individuals. It's all fully funded, so there's no cost to the business, and it can be done in anything from a short online module that can be anywhere from sort of half an hour to a couple of hours in a specific area. So fractions, percentages, multiplication, any area that the individual feels they need to develop, through to taught sessions that can not quite get to a GCSE standard, but can take you on that road. So again, if you had members of staff that were working in a particular area and you felt that actually percentages was something that you really needed to develop those people in, and it wasn't something they felt confident on, then we could put those workshops in place. And again, they can be anywhere from a 45-minute masterclass through to a couple of hours, similar to what we would do for our apprentices and our full-time learners that study those qualifications. What are the benefits to you? So, I mean, the most important benefit to the individual is increased confidence. I think maths, more than any other core qualification, is something that people feel like they're either good at or they're not good at. And I'd include myself in that. It took me 2 attempts to pass my maths GCSE. And actually, a lot of it was down to my level of confidence. I didn't feel confident in certain areas. I would see a question come up around long multiplication, and I would immediately feel like it wasn't something that I could do. So what we're trying to do with these programs is make it really easy and also make it bite-sized, so that if there is a particular area that you as an organization or as an individual want to develop, we'll focus just on that. So you don't have to do a full level 2 qualification with hundreds of hours of guided learning. You can actually focus on the one area that you want to develop and then either leave it at that, or you can bank that in towards completing a full qualification at level 2. The other side of it is increased job prospects. A lot of job roles these days will require you to have a level 2 in maths as a prerequisite for application. So doing the Multiply project helps to set you on that path. It's not something that can get you there overnight, but what it can do is start to build that confidence and start to build that desire to want to go back and complete that maths training. And with it being aimed at learners that are 19 plus, you don't have to have left school long to be able to pick back up, get some additional training, and then hopefully progress on to one of our funded adult courses in maths. The other side of it is increased financial literacy. So obviously, with a lot of employers moving to things online, the digitalization of a lot of job roles, there is an expectation that user has a requisite amount of math skill. So that's something that, again, we can look to develop. And as a personal skill, it might be something that you want to develop with regards to supporting your children with homework. My son is 13. He comes back with maths work. I definitely don't know how to support him with that, although I would consider myself to have a functional level of maths. So it is, again, something that you, through the Century Tech program, you can actually look at those individual nuggets and take out that bit of information that you need. We try to sector align it. So we know that there are certain sectors that need certain levels of numeracy. So we've included those. And that is something that there is a social care one, for example, or a healthcare one that you can offer to your staff, and it will upskill them in the numeracy skills that are important to your area. And then I would sort of finish by sort of talking a little bit about how we're working with employers. So we do that initial maths training, initial maths assessment for your staff members. Offer a diagnostic service, and then after that we will look at putting together a program. It's absolutely not about engaging with individuals directly and then telling an employer what they need to do. We work with the employers to identify what time constraints you're under, what sort of levels of maths the staff are working with, which we'll have identified through our initial assessment, and then put together a package between us that we can offer to staff. Now, we do offer those potentially as lunch break sessions that we could do online, right the way through to sort of twilight sessions that could be offered at the college premises, depending on the numbers and the requirements. Ultimately, our goal through this program is to support more people to upskill themselves in numeracy, to get qualifications, and then to develop on further. The details of how to find out more information are at the bottom, and I'll pass back to Lucy. So any questions?
Thanks, James. That is really, really helpful. Makes me even feel more confident about potentially having a go myself and upskilling my math skills, which I found very difficult at school still as well. So thank you very much. Now I would like to hand over to Emma Thorpe, who will give us a demonstration, hopefully, of the tech's working on our Century Tech programme. All right, so thanks, Emma.
Thank you. I'm just going to share my Century Tech screen with you so you can see it. What I've done is I've set up a test class essentially, and I've put a couple of learners in just so I can show you exactly what it looks like from the tutor point of view. If you want me to log in as a learner, I absolutely can and show you what it looks like from the learner point of view. So obviously at a first glance, what you can see is you can see the number of nuggets that are attempted. So what Century Tech does, once we've done an initial and a diagnostic assessment,
I'm sorry, everyone. I think we've just lost Emma for a moment.
Sorry.
Don't worry, Emma.
Sorry,
Please do continue.
So
just go back a little bit, would you? Just go back a little bit. You talked about the nuggets that people could see as the first bit. Oh, Emma did say before that she had a few technical issues. I am sorry, everyone.
If I could just jump in just to support Emma for a second. That
would be lovely.
What Emma was just explaining is that in terms of how Century Tech works, Century Tech, just to explain, is a sector leading platform. It's been recognised to be one of the best platforms now currently out there for online interactive maths provision. It's something which the group has used really effectively historically, both for non-accredited, which means non-qualification tied in, and qualification or accredited provision for maths. And it is something which now has been recognised by visitors such as Ofsted as being a source of excellence and best practice for the group in terms of our English and maths delivery. The benefits of the platform are that it enables individuals entirely free through the Multiply project to be able to actually receive personalised online automated assessments of their skills and knowledge for mathematics that will provide a snapshot through a series of questions. It's not a test, but it will ask some questions as part of that process. And through that, it provides a detailed snapshot of the mathematics abilities of any individual undertaking it. What that means is that ultimately, as a result of that, it can then enable the individual to understand where they currently are at in terms of against national benchmarks of qualification standards in terms of their math skills. So, for instance, are they working at or above GCSE level, or do they need to work towards that level? And then more importantly than that, especially for Multiply, it enables the identification of the specific skills that an individual may need to work upon for mathematics. As somebody who was formerly a mathematics teacher myself, I can say that when I first did this myself, I was an English graduate and I had not studied maths for a very long time from school. And as a result of that, naturally, as with any skill sets, the maths requirements I had deteriorated because I had not used the maths skills for a very long time. So I undertook training myself to actually get myself back up to that standard I needed to be at moving forward. And that's going to be the same for anybody quite often who undertakes any sort of assessment. What this will enable is the introduction on the back of the assessment of nuggets of information. Now, the nuggets is the term that's used on Century Tech for a module of learning. And the reason why we don't call it a module is because, as Emma can probably show in more detail than I, the modules can be very short or very long in length as appropriate to the needs of the individual and the level of complexity of the content being delivered. Emma, I can see you back on with us now. Can I hand back over to you? You can maybe just showcase some of that. Thank you.
So as a teacher, I'm not sure how much word, but as a teacher or administrator, this is the dashboard that we see. So in theory, obviously owing to GDPR and whether the learner would want us to do that, we can actually update you on how much time has been spent studying, how many questions have been answered, how many nuggets the learners have done, and a percentage of the average last score. So if I go into Learner 2, for example, I can see down the side all the things that learner has been working on. I can look by month, I can look what they've completed entirely. We can set them courses, there's all kinds of things that we can do around this. What I've done for these ones are I've looked at on Century Tech, sorry, the other way around. For Multiply, Century Tech have put some specialised for industries units on nuggets. So what they've done is they've put together, for example, this one is Multiply Advanced Numeracy Skills for Careers in Construction. Now, they've done that for most industries now. I think the only one that they're still working on is digital at the minute. But there's ones for care, there's ones for and for various levels as well, so it can cover everything right from a labourer right up to if somebody wanted a promotion or something like that, they wanted to be a site manager, that's also in there too. So we literally can look at everything, we can break it down by nuggets that they've completed, but also weaker areas, so we can put some more targeted sessions on for them, and this, for us, it's going to be done in conjunction with some teaching, but a learner can take complete ownership of this. So if a learner wants to spend some time working through it, I don't know, on the bus on the way into work, they can absolutely do that on the mobile phone. So what all we would have to do is set up a class to be shared with that learner, and then whatever details we want to put onto there as well. Obviously from Multiply, it's not, that's kind of a way in for Multiply, but what we also do is we do some non-accredited provision, so where learners might have been out of learning for a while and they want to develop the confidence and maybe not ready to set full qualification yet, we can do that as a progression route and a follow-on from Multiply. We've also obviously got functional skills and GCSE, so depending what level the learner comes out at as their initial and diagnostic might also depend where we signpost them to. But from an employer point of view, these modules are really, really good at helping to look at your productivity, maybe if there's a problem that maths can help to solve. And we have been in contact with some employers for that. So it really completely depends on what you need, but we can be really flexible and tailor most things to whatever you need. And I think that's probably it, unless anybody's got any questions or you want to show me to show your learner view.
Could you maybe just show a learner view, please, Emma, just for colleagues,
Yeah.
just so you can see how somebody's
For a
accessing this was.
second.
Thank you.
Yeah, because I'll have to log in, so I don't know if you want to.
Okay, yeah, no, that's thank you, Emma. So just while Emma is just pulling up an individual view of how this would look for somebody undertaking the actual assessments on Century Tech or the modules thereafter, I'll just step in now just to provide a bit of a brief overview as to what's happening and why we're doing it. So Multiplying, as James has covered, is an initiative that's been funded by the government outside of traditional funding sources, which we already have, such as the adult education budget, because it's recognised that whilst the existing funding sources enable individuals, especially adults in this case, to access maths training up to and above level 2 level, which is GCSE equivalent, unfortunately, it's not the right progression route for everyone. And for many individuals who've not been in education training for a long time, or who want more flexibility due to their personal or professional circumstances, Multiply provides an opportunity for a much more bespoke and flexible approach to training and learning. The key benefits of Multiply are that we can provide it both online through platforms such as Century Tech or via online virtual classrooms, which we have as a Google accredited centre. We're able to actually offer online classroom and training environments. Or we can also deliver both within local places of need, which includes both employer venues and community venues, as well as on-site at college venues in and around the South Yorkshire and surrounding region. We ultimately want to use Multiply to be as flexible and adaptive as possible to individual needs. And so as part of that, what Multiply enables us to do, as James mentioned earlier on, is tailor the content of Multiply as much as possible to the individual needs of organisations, community groups, or the stakeholders. So what I would say to you is that if you have a specific training need for your organisation or for the group of individuals that you represent, we'd be more than happy to look at how we can adapt and tailor the contents to meet your needs. We also can be very bespoke in terms of the themes we cover. So as an example, what we have done successfully in the past is offered specific training specialised in financial literacy, which is about understanding specific terms around finance and numeracy in a normal life setting, such as being able to understand how to read bills, how to being able to actually review invoices and other skills such as that. Beyond that, we are very keen to ensure that this is also not just about group needs, but also individual needs. And another key benefit of Multiply is that using platforms such as Centritech and having access to specialist trainers, which as a series of colleges we're able to offer, means that you'll be able to actually benefit from specialists providing knowledge and experience of maths, and be able to provide guidance and support tailored to the individual needs of individuals accessing Multiply training. So what that does mean is that even within a group setting, for instance, individuals within that setting will have their individual needs met as identified, both by themselves, where they know they have areas they're not as confident with, also by the Centritech platform with its interactive and innovative approach to actually assessing and identifying skills and needs. The aim of this is that as a result of training, individuals will make progress and be able to develop skills and confidence that they feel they may not either already have or that they wish to build upon. And as James mentioned, then what that enables is further opportunities to progress on either to further training, such as to provision offered by the college or other providers in free maths qualifications, which would enable individuals to undertake maths GCSE, maths functional skills, or other equivalent qualifications, or also that it enables individuals to progress on to other opportunities for training and address other training needs, such as, for instance, progressing on into apprenticeships or into higher education, dependent upon the individual needs of the individuals taking the training. I think I'll just at this point pass back over to Emma, because I think at this point Emma's ready to roll with the learner view on Centritech. So Emma, are you happy if I just hand back to you?
Yeah, that's
Brilliant.
fine. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Emma.
Yeah.
Thanks,
So I'm
Dan.
just going to share the learner view with you now. So this is what the learner sees. So they literally have on my tutor dashboard down the left hand side there, I probably had about another 3 or 4 things. But for the learners, they get this view. Predominantly they'll look at this one. So this is where it generates an ILP. I've just filled in, as you can see, a few different units. I tried hard on some and maybe not on others, but it just so you can see that it does start to build an ILP for you. So the more that you complete, the more accurate your ILP is in terms of asking for areas for stretch, asking for areas for improvement, things that you really need to focus on. So the learners can literally see that themselves, and they can see where they need to try harder or do they need to redo some nuggets and things like that. So it'll also give them some achievements, some targets, and then it also gives them an overview. So they can also see, like we can see from a tutor point of view, what they've recently completed. So it might be that if they've focused particularly, like for some of these, they've focused particularly on area, it might be time to swap to perimeter or something like that. They've got an overview like this, obviously, so we can give feedback. They can look at any assignments that are already due. They can see assignments that they've completed, and whether or not they'd handed them in on time, or for whatever reason. It might be that you as the employer wants to know. And then they get recommended paths. So this is generated from their ILP. So depending on what they've completed, so the blue line around the outside shows to what point they've completed it. So for area of a triangle, just got a little bit more to do, but for perimeter of a rectangle, they've got a lot more to do. And then it'll recommend other things as you go along, depending on what the results of the other ones were. So it's really, really quite intuitive, and it's really good in terms of learners being able to building learners' confidence, learners being able to see exactly where they're at, and if there's any areas specifically that they might need to focus on more than others. We can also add in extra things if you as the employer wanted something that maybe wasn't covered in this, you know, it was covered in another unit, we could add that in as a assignment. Okay, I think that's probably it. If anybody's got any questions about the learner view, I'm happy to, I'll stop sharing for now.
I don't think we have any questions. I'm just interested to ask a question because so are we saying that employers who obviously support their employees to invest their time in this can also have a sort of an overview of the performance or the sort of the levels of their employees going forward, and they can actually help and support, for instance, saying you're nearly here to the next one, well done, next one's coming, I'm really happy to support you with that as well, so they can have that overview of how their employees are doing.
Yes, I mean, if you wanted to, it could feed into PDR and things like that. But I mean, what we'd have to look at is GDPR. So because these are adults, in theory, you're not supposed to speak to employers or anything. But if we got the learner's consent in advance, that'd be absolutely fine. We could update employers with what learners are currently working on. So we could do a review from that, and that wouldn't be a problem as long as everything were in place.
Fantastic. Okay. We don't have any questions from any of our attendees at the moment. I'm in the Q&A section, but of course, if you do have any questions, anyone, about any of the content today, do email us at multiply@rnngroup.ac.uk, and we are very, very happy to be able to support you with anything that you need, basically. This brings this webinar to a close, unless any of the speakers wish to add anything at this point in time.
I think if I can, Lucy, just to add very quickly at the end, if any colleagues have any specific bespoke questions they wish to raise, there's the contact details shared below. If colleagues require any support or any further dialogue, then myself and James would be more than happy to arrange appropriate responses and to speak with individuals or groups as appropriate. Please don't be afraid to reach out to us with any queries you may have. And if you feel for any reason that perhaps you have any doubts or any nervousness around engaging with us for Multiply, or any other training needs you may have, please still approach us, because I'm sure that we'll be able to find a way to work with you and to meet your organisations or individuals' training needs. Other than that, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dan. And just to finish off, everyone, could I just draw your attention to the next few webinars we'll be putting on? This is not the first and last. We will be doing more. So next year, on Tuesday, the 6th of February, this is during National Apprenticeship Week, we will be doing a webinar on apprenticeships, all you need to know about hiring an apprentice. Or if you're a parent and you have a learner, a young person that's interested, you can find out more on Tuesday, the 6th of February. And then in March, during National Careers Week, we will be doing a webinar on the higher technical qualifications that we feel that a lot of people aren't fully aware of what's going on with regard to these, and we thought, let's put on a webinar about these. Keys are totally free. They'll be sent out to anyone who's registered, and we will be putting these on our socials as well. So any further information you need, then please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Thank you very much today for attending, and have a lovely rest of the day. Thank you.